Let's talk about Joe Biden. So in this report from the Daily Mail, they mentioned that the Supreme Court has voted 6-3 to block Biden's vaccine mandates. However, a disappointed Joe will tell businesses to adopt the rules anyway and says it's up to states to do the right thing. Biden has urged businesses to bring in vaccine mandates on their own and push states to do the right thing after the Supreme Court voted 6-3 to block his sweeping rules on private companies in a crushing blow to his pandemic response. The High Court did, however, allow a vaccine mandate for employees at healthcare facilities receiving federal dollars to go into effect. Now, there's an important distinction here. Joe Biden is saying ignore the Supreme Court in a certain sense, but the Supreme Court did not rule that vaccine mandates are completely illegal. The Supreme Court ruled that Joe Biden doesn't have the authority through OSHA to mandate businesses require vaccinations. So Joe Biden comes out and says, then it's up to you guys to implement these because I can't force you to do it. Now you know what I think is going to happen? I think the blue states and I think all the big companies are going to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, though, it means, I guess, like the Daily Wire won't have to.
Well, they're going to try to do it. But there's also a very interesting article also from the Daily Mail talking about how a lot of the cases are flatlining in a lot of these major Democratic states. And if this goes along with the theory that I've been talking about and many other medical professionals have been talking about for a few weeks now, there should be a sharp decline in the numbers, just like we have seen in South Africa. I might be wrong on that assessment and that theory, but if that's the case, they're going to have a hard justification for more lockdowns, more mandates. And I think this is their kind of last push. And I think this is a major setback against their agenda. And I don't see it going further from here, from my perspective.
It's kind of a dilemma for businesses because on the one hand, they're dealing with employees, some of whom are Karens, right? They want that vaccine mandate and they want double masking and they're scared to death. But there's other employees that say, I'm not going to do it and you're going to lose me. And those may well be some of their most important employees. But you have the chief executive officer of the United States saying, I got an offer for you that you can't refuse. And if you say no, I'm going to send some of these agencies to check out your stuff and make sure that you're in full compliance with OSHA, full compliance with this. There are so many rules and regulations that every company in America is surely violating right now because they couldn't possibly know what they are. Biden still has the ability to make their lives hell. And what I think a lot of the big corporations wanted was the cover of being forced to do it by the government. And now they're stuck in this place and they're going to discover that they're going to lose a lot of their talent if they push forward.
I got to tell you, I can certainly sympathize and empathize with a lot of these businesses because there are people who won't admit when they get sick because they're like, no, I'm not sick. Everything's fine. And then they'll come into work and they'll get people sick. You also have managers who are like, I don't care if you're sick. I don't want my boss yelling at me. You better show up for work. And so then you have these, executives who are like, how do we stop people from doing this? And they're like, well, we can mandate a vaccine, I guess. I'm not convinced vaccine mandates are going to solve the problem. So, ultimately, I can empathize with the problem of people spreading COVID and then your company gets shut down. I get it. We had to, take off for a week because we got sick, and I can see why people are worried about that. But I think we have to realize we're living with this.
Yeah, well, you've got to define the problem. What's the problem today? Overloading the hospitals? That was the problem 2.5 years ago. We didn't want to overload the problem. So how do we solve that? Obviously, the vaccine may reduce symptoms, but it doesn't seem to stop the spread, doesn't seem to stop people from getting it. I think people are going to the hospital after they've been vaccinated. So you're looking to solve the problem. That solution didn't seem to solve it.
Well, that's a good question. What's the problem?
I don't think there really is one anymore.
Labor shortages, supply chain problems, financial.
But that's a great point because that's not COVID related anymore.
Yeah, and then why is the AP telling them not to report on single case record increases in certain states? What was that all about? Because it seems like they're shifting the narrative from, oh my gosh, so many people are getting COVID to being more like, well, it's still a problem. We still have to worry about it, but we also have a midterm to win or something. I'm not sure what the strategy is there. So what was the deal with their decision to say you can't talk about these increases, these sharp increases? You don't remember?
They're looking for an exit strategy. Mm-hmm. And they've been scaring the crap out of people for 2 years now. And there is no problem. There's certainly not a problem that we can do anything about at this point. I mean, I think we've created a lot of collateral damage. And remember, the original COVID models said, if you're going to flatten the curve, you're going to push out the pandemic. And that was always part of the model. And here we are 2 years into it. And this is an extraordinary virus in its behavior. And I think that all of these central planners who thought they knew better are culpable. So they need an exit strategy. And if we can just tone down the hysteria on the data, maybe we can get out of this before the midterm. I think it's very much, it's got to be political.
Absolutely.
Right.
I definitely agree with you. We've been talking about it for a few weeks now, and this could be why Jake Tapper said, the hospital numbers are inflated. This is why the CDC came out and said 75% of deaths are because of 4 or more comorbidities. This is why the New York governor came out, said around 40% of the hospitalizations are literally people who were there not because of corona, but with corona because of other incidences. And there's more and more of these announcements. Something is definitely going on here, and I think there's definitely a bigger agenda at play here.
I figured out Luke's agenda. By saying words like comorbidity, the AI on YouTube can't track the words he's saying to censor us.
You should have seen what I was saying, a specific kind of medication a year ago.
I will remember it forever.
You guys remember last year. I'm not going to say it here, but there was a specific way I was specifically mentioning stuff.
You're developing your own censor-proof language.
I'm going to play it off like that, but that's not the case. But
there's this font that allows people who are dyslexic to read it.
Oh, cool.
And it's really interesting because it's got like thicker portions on parts of the letters, and I feel like that's kind of like this. Luke will say the word comorbidity, and the AI just goes like, I'm not familiar with this word.
I almost had it.
It's kind of like, I think, who was it? Was it Leonardo da Vinci wrote in code because it was illegal. The church would have him executed if they knew he was talking about the stuff he was talking about. Heliocentric model. I think that was Da Vinci. Galileo maybe wrote in code.
Galileo. Wasn't Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass? It was meant to be metaphorical. It was supposed to be representing the problems of government and everything like that.
Sometimes you got to hide from the algorithm. You got to slightly move through it.
It's always been the case.
Wow.
Well, regardless of algorithms,
anyway.
big tech is a big problem in terms of limiting speech and shutting down dissent and shutting down conversations. But I feel at this point, with what Biden is saying, I don't know if the Democrats are going to get the message before the midterms, right? How does Joe Biden come back from the Supreme Court struck down his mandate? He then triples down saying, do it anyway. And then we're going to expect Democrats to change their minds in a few months and be like, everyone's free now, vote for us. Because if they keep running on lockdowns, they're going to lose.
Yeah. Well, he's got two fundamental problems. One is that the people that were forced to be vaccinated are the people that lost their jobs or the people that are looking at empty grocery shelves are going to show up. And midterms are low turnout elections. So the midterms are going to be dominated by people that have suffered under the Biden regime. And the other problem, and this goes back to what James Carville so famously said, it's the economy, stupid. It's going to be very hard to fix what they've done in terms of supply chains, in terms of employment problems, in terms of all these things that people are feeling at the very local level. There's no way to turn that around in time. So I think they're faced with what they're doing is like, let's just keep doubling down and hope for a miracle. But it seems like political suicide to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. If people came out of the lockdown and the economy was where it was 3 years ago, I think it'd be fine. People would be like, cool, Biden all the way. But they inflated the economy so heavily by like 100% almost.
Yeah.
Did you see when
80%
Kamala Harris got asked if the ticket was going to stay the same, and she goes, look, we are focused on, today. And I'm like, it's really weird she couldn't just be like, yeah. You know what I mean? I guess she was like, I know what you're trying to do with the pundits and the talking points, because they're saying, but we are focused on what's happening today. And I was just like, just say yes. But the reality is the answer is not yes.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Biden.
She hid behind
in
Biden.
a few months, they're going to throw away Biden like the worn puppet that he is. They're going to throw him by the wayside. He's going to be gone, and they're going to bring in someone else. They're teasing. They're literally teasing Hillary, and other people that they're trying to bring to the forefront. Buttigieg is another one. I think it might even be something like Michelle Obama or Oprah. Who knows what they're doing? But I do not see anyway, unless they make clones of him. Or some kind of GMO creature and put him in the front of us. I don't see how they're going to move forward with him.
There is a conspiracy theory they cloned Biden, no joke. Or they replaced him or something. It's silly. But remember when Barack Obama said to Biden, you don't have to do this? Yeah. Do you remember that quote?
Yep.
See, we always assume the context of that quote is you don't need to be the man who tries to stop Donald Trump, when in reality he was saying, like, you don't need, like, it was more of a, you don't need to do this.
Yeah, like,
you're
not qualified
for this. You are not qualified for this job.
That's what I get.
And Joe Biden, listen, he hears it, And in his mind, he's like this hero saving the day. And Biden's like, you don't need to do that, Joe. Let's go back to the sunroom and get you your blanket and get you a nap. And Joe was like, oh, truing on a shot of pressure.
The last desperate throes of George Bush 41 was his staff leaking all of this stuff about how Dan Quayle was the problem. So if you're blaming your VP for the failure of your presidency, you're probably already done.
I don't think they ever planned on Biden going beyond one term. And they can play it up like they did intend for him to be a two-term president, but the reality was we all know what Joe Biden is. He was the corporeal form that they asked for, just a warm body that was not Donald Trump.
It's like an old episode of Star Wars.
Yeah. Star Wars.
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
They got what they wanted, and now we are all much worse off for it. But if you are a wealthy political elite sitting atop your ivory tower, they're happier that Trump isn't in office, even though everyone else is suffering. So long as they're better off because Trump was a bull rampaging through, and they don't care about you.
I could see if Andrew Yang had gotten into presidency and they were like, we're going to print $5 trillion. He would have been like, nah. And he would have been obstructing all this money printing. So, like, they needed someone like Biden who's just
disagree
you got
with
the
you.
reins, Anthony Fauci.
I absolutely disagree with you.
Really?
He wanted
Yang would have
his.
printed?
He would give that money to.
Yeah.
He would
wanted
redistribute
UBI,
that
bro.
money. Yeah.
I don't know. They
He'd be
printed
like,
a lot of money.
Actually, it does make sense to bolster the economy by printing more money because everyone will then have money to spend and eat food with, and we should do it. And I actually like Andrew Yang, but I definitely think he would be like print money.
But that would have been like 1.2 trillion, not 6 trillion.
No, it would
I don't
Ian,
think
with the way
more
that the
than
government does, they would give everyone money and then give themselves twice as that. He worked for CNN. I have absolutely no faith and trust in that man.
I think it's awesome that 1.2 trillion is considered the fiscally
I
responsible.
know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, spend money to make
Yeah.
money. Modern monetary theory is breaking down because we don't have industry in the United States. We're putting all this money into something that's not getting us a return, and the money's disappearing.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.